Okay, yeah, I think we're recording now. Okay, yes. Okay, let's begin. Hi, everyone. Just to recap, I'm Samhita, community lead at NSR Cell. NSR Cell is IIM Bangalore's entrepreneurship center. We have been in the ecosystem for over 2 decades now. Our aim and our mission is to catalyze entrepreneurship, the entire entrepreneurship ecosystem. It is to bring together entrepreneurs, academia, and industry, and really serve as the bridge between these three. We also aim to foster fundamental research in entrepreneurship. What we really do is we are trying to be an ecosystem enabler for, and we have certain focus areas while trying to do so. So these are the 4 focus areas of NSR Cell. Give me a quick second. There are more people in the waiting room. Sorry. Yes. So we have 4 focus areas at NSR Cell. And as you can see on my screen, these are the 4. I'll just cover them in brief. So at NSR Cell, one of the first focus areas that we've looked at has been emerging sectors. We have focused programs in these areas tailored to the entrepreneur, tailored to the space, especially in partnership with certain organizations that have the subject matter expertise in these areas, right? So our programs, we've had programs in mobility, in fintech, in healthcare, in consumer brands. Consumer brands and fintech have been some of our more successful cohorts. We also have an upcoming mobility, sustainability, innovation cohort. Apart from that, women entrepreneurship is a big focus area as well for NSRCL. We have 2 programs in this area and another upcoming one. We have one for the early stage women startup program. We have one for the early stage women entrepreneurs. It's called the Women Startup Program, and it's for all women entrepreneurs with an idea stage venture or just the idea. And there's an application process. We are in the 4th cohort of it currently. WSP4 is going on at the moment. Apart from that, for women entrepreneurs who have ventures that are, at a scale up stage, where they're looking to expand into certain markets, geographical areas, whether they're looking to scale up operations, we have the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Women Program. It's for women entrepreneurs who are doing more than about 30 lakhs in annual revenue. Apart from that, we have a rural MSME program that is coming up. It is yet to be announced. So these are the programs that we have in the women entrepreneurship area. Apart from this, we also focus in the student entrepreneurship area. We largely work with students from STEM schools, and in the program was earlier called RICDC, now it is called student entrepreneurship. So what we do in this area is we have a team that works with student entrepreneurs for a period of 24 to 30 months from the just give me a second. Yeah, from the very big, from the final year when they're doing projects and they are hesitant about becoming entrepreneurs, there is a very focused program for student entrepreneurs in this area. And yeah, the cohort goes on for about 24 to 30 months. Apart from that, we also focus on the social impact area, wherein we work with for-profit and not-for-profit models. And we work in ventures in both spaces. Primarily, the aim of these ventures should be to make an impact in the social avenue. We also, some of our focus areas in the social impact area are rural and agri-tech companies, and also circular economy or assistive tech for disabilities. So these are the 4 pillars of the NSR Cell focus areas of entrepreneurship. Apart from this, I'll walk you through some of our other programs that are that we have at NSRCL. So Launchpad is a sector agnostic 100-day program for all idea stage ventures. So if you are a entrepreneur with an idea stage venture, you can apply to Launchpad. That is pretty much the only criteria. It is an intensive course. It aims to help you gain clarity. And ventures, previously we had ventures who've done really well in Launchpad and then have moved to other programs at NSRCL. They've moved for incubation in the Velocity program as well. So Velocity is another program at NSRCL. It is for more mature ventures who are in a post-revenue growth stage, and they come to NSRCL to be incubated. Velocity is a more targeted program. And yeah, so these are the 2 core programs that we have at NSRCL, apart from the programs I just spoke to you about in the 4 focus areas. I'll also walk you through some of our famous ventures that you might know. We have 2 proud We are a proud organization with 2 unicorns under our belt. You might have heard of Just Books, you might have heard of Amagi. We also have India Hemp and Co, Gym Books, Kutaki, Mitti Cafe. If any of you have been to the Bangalore airport recently, we also have Mitti Cafe. So yeah, these are some of our well-to-do ventures. These are just some of them. There are a lot more, but yes. So these, if any of you have heard of these, raise your hand. It'd be nice to see that you know these ventures. A lot of our startups are also been acquired by large companies such as Qualcomm, Brilio, Freshworks, etc. And I'll just 1 second. There seems to be. Yeah, okay. Just had to admit a few people. All right. Okay, yeah. Moving on. So you can see that these are some of our program partners. We've worked with these funding partners for some of our programs. I've talked about the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Women program. We're also working with Alstom, Maruti for the mobility cohort. Sorry, did I get disconnected there? There seems to be an issue with my internet.
You're there, Samhita, we can hear you.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, I think I'll have to continue with my video on low res. Okay. Okay, so yeah, we've also worked with Niti.io, Capgemini, and Kotak. Texas Instruments is actually one of our partners for the student entrepreneurship program as well. We also have something called the Startup Kit. It's called the NSR Cell Startup Kit, and it's aimed at ventures who reach the pre-incubation stage in NSR Cell. We don't have an official value on it, but the services on the Startup Kit are valued at well over 12 lakhs currently. We have about 80 plus partners, and it's aimed at making a startup owner's life easier, a startup founder's life easier, because when you're in the nascent stage of your startup, every penny matters, right? And you get access to certain services, and you get credits that make running your startup easier. So these are some of our program partners, and these are some of the partners on our Startup Kit as well. This is all the time I'm going to take up from this session. Over to you, Mr. Rajesh Jain.
Thank you very much, Samhita. Thanks for having invited me. So what I'll do is I'll run through some ideas with the help of a slide deck. Any questions that you all have, just put them in the chat window. We'll try and take up, we may not have much time for Q&A at the end, but I'll try and take up as many quickly as possible. So these are some very interesting new ideas in marketing. The focus is really on how do you reduce cost of acquisition and propel the path to profitability. So there are 3 key challenges, as I see it in marketing. The first one is that the rising cost of acquisition, and I've looked at this more from the B2C side, but probably similar challenges are there on the B2B side. So the rising CAC is hurting profits. It's about 40 to 50% increase year on year in the cost of acquiring new customers. Ad tech, which is about acquisition, typically accounts for 80 to 90% of digital marketing spends, which effectively means that very little is being spent today on customer retention, on existing customers. What I call ad waste is 50%, according to me. And this is basically the money that is being spent on new customer acquisition. Half of it is being wasted. It's either in reacquisition, means existing customers who basically become dormant and churn out, or become just inactive. They are reacquired through the ad tech platforms instead of reactivation. And then there is wrong acquisition. Customers you basically pay for through Google, Facebook platforms, etc. They just go away very quickly. They uninstall the app, or they just don't take the relationship forward, in which case there are wrong acquisitions. So about half the money, I think, is being wasted out there. And part of the problem also is that brands are not able to build a good hotline to existing customers. And this results in what I call attention recession and data poverty. So existing customers are not paying attention. So it's a vicious cycle. They don't pay too much attention. Then there are the brands basically end up spending more money on new customers. Again, half of it is being wasted and so on. So how do we tackle this? I think for this, we've got to go back to the first principles of marketing, essentially, which is that how do you treat existing customers well so they come back for more and bring their friends. So this is really the best way of marketing, where your referrals, retention, etc., do the job for growing your business for you. Now, where I think marketing took a wrong turn is probably in the last 10 to 15 years. There's been an extreme focus on growth with easy money available from investors, which has made brands and marketers prioritize new customer acquisition at the cost of existing customers. So the focus really needs to be on the 5 R's: retention, repetition, repeat purchases, referrals from existing customers, which is zero cost acquisition, reactivation rather than reacquisition, and replenishment. So customers who churn, how do you sort of fill the gap? So rather than the dominant strategy being new acquisition, the dominant strategy needs to be existing customer retention and growth out there. So for this, if you have to go back to the core of marketing, I think there are 4 transformations which are required, and which is what I'll cover in the rest of my time today. So the shift from continuous new customer acquisition to focusing on existing customers, what I call MarTech 2.0, creation of differentiated experiences for best customers, what I call velvet rope marketing, building hotlines via email for 2-way engagement rather than just broadcasting messages, email 2.0, and using atomic rewards, so micro incentives, to solve the twin problems that we just spoke about: attention recession and data poverty, loyalty 2.0. And what all of this does is it shifts the focus from growth at all costs to profit-centric marketing, and we'll see how. So the first idea is MarTech 2.0, focus on existing customers. Seems very obvious, but it's not really happening. I mean, you go back to our Monday morning reviews in most businesses, and it's all the focus is on new customers. Now, how many new customers did we acquire? And the new acquisition bucket is actually very leaky. Ad costs are rising. We are acquiring less and less valuable customers. There's the cookies which are going to go away. The reacquisition we spoke about, Apple's privacy framework. All of this is making new acquisition hard, leading to waste. And this is really a $200 billion ad waste globally, half of the money which is being spent on digital acquisition. So this is what I call the doom loop of ad spending. It's a vicious cycle. You keep spending more and more money. People go away. And the only beneficiaries really are Google and Facebook and the likes. So what's happening really is that brands are getting what I call gooped instead of customers getting hooked. And this is really the root problem of marketing today. So the transformation that is required is from ad tech to MarTech, from acquisition to building deeper relationships with existing customers. And within MarTech, it's also from 1.0 to 2.0. And this is, when you think about it, it's really from transactions, just to focus on transactions, or upstream of transactions, attention, engagement habits, from just the purchase to the life cycle, from one-off purchases to retention to building subscription businesses, from reacquisition to reactivation, referrals, to best customers. I'll cover that next. From just one-way broadcast of messages, can you have 2-way conversations with your customers? Instead of just loyalty points, can you look at atomic rewards? So what I call loyalty 2.0, we'll cover that later. Instead of point solutions in your tech stack, can you look at a single full stack solution which integrates all of the components that you need seamlessly? Instead of letting your data get siloed in different tech stack solutions that you're using, can you have a CDP to aggregate all of your data together? Instead of just marketers making decisions, can you have machine predictions, AI, ML? And instead of just internal teams, the idea of a progency, I'll talk about that again later. And instead of just 10% of budget on existing customers, can you get it up to 50%? Now, I know today we have very limited time to cover a lot of interesting ideas. My goal is to expose you to some of the new thinking. I do a lot of writing on my blog at rajeshjain.com. I write every day, and there are 2 posts a day. One is in the evening, I post 3 interesting links. In the morning, there is something semi-original that I write. And if you go to rajeshjain.com/marketing, a lot of these topics are explained in a lot greater detail. So these are some of the essays I've written on MarTech 2.0. And for each of the topics I'm discussing, and there is a lot of writing that I've done. So you'll be able to dig deeper into a lot of this thinking. My goal is to just leave you with some initial ideas, which you can then study further on your own. The second idea is velvet rope marketing, differentiated experiences for best customers. Now, the big insight really here is that 20% customers, and this is true for most businesses, it's what I call the power law of marketing. 20% customers will account for 60% of your revenue and 200% of profits. And there are 2 very good books to read. And there is a book by Peter Fader on customer-centric marketing. In fact, he's got 2 books. And there's a book by Sunil Gupta, I think, of Harvard Business School, where he also talks about some of these ideas in one of his chapters. But the key point is that a small number of customers deliver disproportionate value to you, somewhat like the 80-20 rule. And if you factor in acquisition costs and servicing costs, you'll realize that it's something like a whale curve, where beyond the top X%, it'll be different for different businesses. The profitability actually goes down. So a small set of customers are incredibly profitable, and then you have this sloping curve down, like the whale curve. So how I think of it is that you have your best customers, and then you have your rest, and then you have the next customers. So the takeaway really here is that, are you treating your customers differently? And that's the theme of velvet rope marketing. So it's a term I had coined. You can call it red carpet marketing, etc. A lot of different ways to look at the same thing. How do you stratify customers based on CLV, customer lifetime value, or LTV, and provide experience differentiation? So airlines do that very well for the most loyal customers, people willing to pay more for business class or first class. Some hotels do this very well, some banks do it very well, but most customers tend to practice what I call communism. They treat everyone the same. And that doesn't really work if you've got to build a great, profitable business. So you treat best customers like royalty. How do you provide?
Did we lose or he lost his connection?
I think there's an internet connectivity issue with Mr. Rajesh Jain. Let's just hold on for a second. He should be able to join back. Okay, seems like he was disconnected from the meeting. Requesting everyone just to hold on for a minute or two while he rejoins the session and continues.
So apologies, I think I have 3 internet connections at home. I think 2 are down as of this point of time. So hopefully we'll be fine with the 3rd remaining one. Okay, so the idea basically being that, how can you focus on your best customers? And these ideas apply everywhere because they will generate greater loyalty and more word of mouth. Now, how is it that we can do that? So the first idea is calculating CLV. And this is where Peter Fader's book, The Customer Centricity Handbook, actually gives a lot of interesting thoughts on how to do it. And for B2C companies, what he advocates is that you can just, with 3 pieces of information, customer ID, date, and value of transaction, you can get a very good forward-looking estimate of CLV. He's got a lot of papers out there which you can look at. There are some mistakes also which he talks about, which you need to stay away from. By the way, in case you need a copy of my deck, you can email me, rajesh@netcorecloud.com, or Samita also has a copy and she can mail it to you all. The second idea is how do you decode the best customer genome? So what is common to your best customers? Because if you can figure this out, it will help you in your new customer acquisition. So rather than looking at any customer, the 20% best customers, figure out what's common to them in their customer journey, in their demographic data, behavioral data, and then figure out how you can get new customers just like them. So again, AI/ML models can do a pretty good job of figuring out the best customer genome today. Now, how do you apply this? One of the ideas is that if a best customer is not interacting with your brand, is not responding to your messages, then get on the phone to that person rather than just sending an email, because you do not want churn of your best customers. Again, like we said, they are the most valuable customers. Your competitors also want them. So how do you create a zero churn program for your best customers? I think that's very, very important. And here are some ideas: exclusivity, ease, and access to create differentiated services. So for example, for best customers, when they call up, can you ensure there's zero wait time on the call? If someone is checking out in a store, can you ensure they can skip the queue if they are a best customer? They get invited to important events that you have, and so on. They can probably return products without incurring any delivery charges or return charges, and so on. So create differentiated experiences, because these are the customers who are responsible really for the profitability of your business. Again, there's a lot of writings on VRM, same rajeshjain.com/marketing. Okay. The next idea, the third idea we have is email 2.0. How do you build hotlines for two-way engagement? Now, you're familiar with, we get a lot of emails from brands. Netcore itself is responsible for about 75% of emails, B2C emails sent in the country. We send 12 billion in India alone. And the opportunity really is to think email 2.0. So email 1.0, the focus on sending. Email 2.0, how do we ensure the emails get seen? The mindset is from delete to delight. Hope that emails get open. Today, open rates are roughly 10% for marketing messages, to creating a hotline where customers genuinely want to engage. From sending occasionally, anytime, can you send emails at the same time every day? So they become a habit in people's lives. Look at some of the media companies. They send out, you'll get the mail from them with the headlines, etc., pretty much at the same time every day. So they become a habit. Instead of tracking opens and clicks, can you track stickiness and streaks to get a better sense of the engagement? Make emails interactive, make them gamified, and I'll show you a few examples at the end. It's a very interesting way to look at email. You all probably would not have seen that going forward. Email is the best ROI channel. And of all, the push channels are very, very important. So email, SMS, push notifications, WhatsApp, because they're the only way to get your customers back to your platform, to your properties, the website or the app. There is no other way unless you're spending a lot of money on branding. So we'll remember a few sites very well, like Flipkart, Amazon, etc. But many other places we are going back to the properties because of a trigger, which comes from a push message that we receive. So email 2.0 has 5 ideas. Again, this is extensively covered in my writings, but just to give you a feel for what's there. AMP, which is interactive mail. It's a Google technology, and I'll show this to you later on, how it works. EMS, the idea is very short emails. Can you create informative mails, but sent out every day? So the idea being that they become a habit in people's lives. People get into the habit of opening what you are sending rather than ignoring what you're sending. Because 10% open rates means we are ignoring 90% of communications from brands. Atomic rewards, again, I'll cover this briefly towards the end in the demo. It's micro incentives. So if you want to collect zero-party data, if you want to trigger certain actions, can you give micro incentives to people? And progency is the idea of a product-led agency, which essentially, just like in the ad tech world, you have performance-based and programmatic advertising. Can the same ideas be applied in the MarTech world, in the marketing world? This is a great opportunity, I think, for a new startup to get created. So basically combines product and agency to deliver outcomes for existing customers. And hooked score is a way to measure, going beyond just opens and clicks to measuring higher orders of engagement. Again, a lot of writings out here, which can be delved into on email 2.0. The next idea, the fourth and final idea, is loyalty 2.0. So the focus is on using micro incentives, what I call atomic rewards. Is on atomic rewards for attention and data. And the big idea here is pay customers, not big ad tech. Okay, so we are all familiar with loyalty programs. We are part of many loyalty programs from airlines and from various B2C brands and so on. But there are at least 4 or 5 key problems in these loyalty programs. Number one is that they are limited to one brand. Redemption is very difficult. Points tend to expire. You can't transfer the points and so on. So how do we, and they are all linked, of course, only with transactions. But this is upstream of transactions. If you don't get attention of a customer, you are not going to get the transaction. If you don't have data from the customer, it's very hard to do personalization, which can increase the probability of a transaction. And this is where this theme around loyalty 2.0 comes up. It's what I've been writing about in the last few months and now working to build products. So essentially, the idea is focus on attention and data. So attention is upstream. Data basically is volunteer data, and we'll see how in a couple of minutes. This should become a multi-brand loyalty program. Use Web3 tokens in this because then the problem of debasement, which can happen in a loyalty program, actually goes away. Someone can decide, hey, you needed 10,000 miles to get a free round trip ticket between 2 cities. Tomorrow it can be 20,000 miles and you can't do anything about it. But if that is same as encoded in rules, like what happens in a DAO-like construct or in a Web3 blockchain-like construct, okay, you're much more confident of the strength of the loyalty program. So there are many such ideas which the problems of the world of loyalty can actually be solved with a loyalty 2.0 type of initiative. Now, the thinking here is that also that a lot of the loyalty programs tend to be more for B2C, but B2B brands also can actually think of loyalty programs for customers. So if you put all of these ideas together, and these are a lot of my writings, where I talk about atomic rewards, loyalty 2.0. A great place to start here is loyalty 2.0, how brands can tokenize customer attention and data. And these are all new ideas. So there are, I think, great opportunities to actually build products also down the line in some of these areas. So the same ideas can really be used in the B2B world also. So let me show you a few examples of email 2.0 and loyalty 2.0. And then I'll wrap up in a few minutes after that, and then we'll have at least hopefully 18 to 20 minutes for questions. So let me show you email like you've probably never seen before. So the idea is we are all used to, so email is today the best ROI channel. Okay, international studies have shown that the dollar spent on email delivers $40 in ROI, better than any other message, any other push channel or interaction channel. So this is my Gmail inbox. I'm going to show you interactivity inside of an email. This is through a Google technology called AMP. It's been around for 3-4 years, but not used much because it's a little bit hard to construct the email. But once you get past that, it's actually very, very powerful. So imagine you're a B2C brand. You want to people have not visited you for some time, you want to send them a discount offer. So here you can do a start, the spin the wheel right inside the mail. So there is no click through and there is no landing page. Okay, this is the key point. So think of these as apps, mini apps inside of an email. A lot of what I'm going to show you is actions taken within an email without a need to go to a landing page or a website. And the campaigns that we have been doing for brands in the last 2 to 3 months show a 3 to 10 times uplift in the actions that customers are doing. Now, this is an EMI calculator. And it says click here to go and to come to a calculator. Instead, just imagine being able to do it right here, where every click is tracked. You know exactly whom you're sending the mail to. All of these actions are done right inside the mail. You can then gamify things also. So I'm sure many of you all play Wordle. Today, to play Wordle, you go to the New York Times website. What if the Wordle email came to you right in your inbox? Okay, and this looks pretty good on the mobile, very good on the mobile also. So I'm just showing it to you here on a desktop. Here is how I can, these are the 2 starting words that I tend to use because it gets all the vowels in. And now, of course, I know the answer. So I can guess it right here. And so Wordle right inside the mail. So the mails are basically becoming interactive out here. I can in fact even rate the mail right here. And these are points, but I'll come to that in the atomic rewards. I'll come to that in a minute or 2. You can actually do searches right inside the mail. So let's say I'm going from Mumbai to Bangalore, maybe next week. And I can do a search right inside the mail without me having to go to the website and so on. And now imagine if we can have payments integrated into this, I can book now without leaving the email at all. Okay, so those were a few examples. Okay, one more here, like a chatbot. Now you imagine you want to collect some data about a person. So you have this chatbot. So I type my name. Again, all inside the mail, inside your Gmail client. Select my gender. I don't have to do anything there. It just recognizes it. I type my PIN code. I can ask profession, and we are done. Now, imagine the multiplier in response because people don't have to actually go to a website. Now, I'll show you another example. Now, this is very interesting because typically the footer of an email is largely ignored. Okay, so what if we gamified the footer? What if we had a lot of things that you can do in the email footer, which helps the brand and helps the customers? So it's a win-win relationship. So the mu in the subject actually tells me that this mail has rewards in it. So 1856 tells me the number of points I had when the mail was sent. It's probably changed because I did a few actions in previous emails. So this tells me that if I open this mail, there are some nice goodies out there in the mail. Now, what's the interesting thing is basically that I can now come here and rate the email. So it's an NPS rating right inside the mail. Which age group do I belong? I can pick right here, and for everyone, I'm going to get some rewards out here. So 5 mu here, another 10 mu here. So I can earn points. So it's gamification. You all love that element of gamification, which is there. So and these become basically over time, they become Web3 tokens. Now we can also offer redemptions. So all of us who have got credit card points, you know how difficult it is to redeem those points. So that makes you're not that excited about earning. But what if you made redemption easy? So there's more interest in people doing the actions that you as a marketer or as a brand would want. So this is roulette, sort of a mini version of roulette. So I can pick a number, I can start playing, and then I can stop. Okay, so I selected 5, came 0. I lost a few points there. By the way, this number at the bottom, it's a little messed up formatting. Sorry about that, but this number keeps changing as the point. So here, anyone has any? I mean, I guess we won't get time to take. So I guess the wrong answer is like KBC, oldest rocks. Okay, so that was right, and I keep earning. So I get 20 if I get it right. I lose 20 if I get it wrong, and so on. And finally, here's another example of commerce right inside a transaction inside the mail. There's a glimpse of what the future is going to be like. And so you can start imagining. So let's say I wanted to buy that book. I can select an address. If the brand has a credit card number on file, then pick it up right there. I type the CVV. Of course, outside India, you would not even need the OTP, so the transaction would be done there. Now, this is real-time interaction with a server, okay, just to show you what's possible in the mail. I type in the OTP, and it's actually done, the transaction. So this gives you a glimpse of what's really going to come in the future. Email becomes a very powerful channel of interaction with loyalty points. So I have a last slide to summarize the key points, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So to summarize, analyze your digital marketing budget, estimate your ad waste. Both the things that I spoke about earlier, reacquisition and wrong acquisition, are actually, you can measure both. You can measure wrong acquisition by seeing how many of the people or the customers who have, or clicks, people who have come to your website have either uninstalled your app or have just not done anything and gone away. So that's your waste. So in the first 30 days. Second is for reacquisition, someone you acquired, was that person already one of your customers earlier on? Did they become inactive? You can actually check on that. It's a big shift of budget that we are talking about. Everyone is used to spending a lot of money on Google, Facebook. But if you can get a buy-in from your CMOs saying, let's partner for profits. Okay, raising money is becoming increasingly harder. Profitability is the way to drive a business. So if you can partner, convince your CEO that, look, we need to invest more on our existing customers. That is, I think, the buy-in that you will need internally. Simple starting points, 3 of them. Some of the ideas that we spoke about today, email 2.0, loyalty 2.0, they are good starting points to build hotlines with your existing customers. And I've got a lot of details, of course, on the writings that I've done. Think of creating a separate business unit for your best customers. Basically, these are 20% customers giving you 60% of revenue, more than 100% of profit, whichever way you look at it. They need to be treated differently. Think about how you can make that happen. And finally, how do you track earned growth rate as a North Star metric? So this is like NPS. Fred Reichheld had created the NPS, Net Promoter System, or score. He's come up with a book last year called Winning on Purpose. Basically, it's on loyalty, and in that, and it was also covered in a Harvard Business Review article late last year. The idea of earned growth rate, which tracks organic growth and referrals. So how are you doing in terms of growing your revenues without reliance on spending on big ad tech? Okay, so that's the way to think about it. In software, essentially, it's the sort of equivalent term is net revenue retention, NRR, that's there in SaaS companies. But it's a little more, here it also tracks referrals. But it's a very, very good metric to basically track. The HBR article is actually very good to read. The book is even better. So think of that as the North Star metric, where the mindset is not just of spending money for new customers, but how do I make the most from my existing customers? So here's my email. Feel free to write to me. I will try and reply, though it may take a little bit of time. I will try and reply to your queries, but a lot of it is actually covered in my writings on my blog, and I would encourage you to read some of them. So thank you. That was a pretty whirlwind tour of many ideas, but I want to make sure we get time for questions. We had 3 questions at the start, so I'll try and cover them quickly. And then we can have more. I think there are some probably already in the chat that are there. So I'll try and get to that in a couple of minutes. I'll probably give very short answers to maximize what we can discuss today. So the first question was by Mitali, that this problem of price sensitivity that customers have. Everyone's looking for a great deal. So the good news is that we are all customers of different brands. Of course, we all want good deals. But what can you do? Some of the ideas that we've talked about, differentiated experiences that are there, which I think can help in creating a better bonding with customers. So in B2C companies, loyalty programs do the job very well, airlines, hotels. And again, look at our own experiences as customers of brands. We tend to favor certain brands over others, despite some small price differentials. Related to that question is one question you must ask yourself as a business owner is, how do I create a monopoly and a moat in my business? So every business, as Peter Thiel had said, you want to be a monopoly in your area, but also how do you create a moat? How do you make it hard for others to enter? So I won't be able to get into specifics, but this is a way to start thinking about how at least the questions to consider as you go forward. The question Raj had was, how do you estimate a CAC? And there are many different ways to estimate the customer acquisition cost. But a simple way would be look at all the monies that you are spending and look at the number of customers you are acquiring every month. That is the obvious way. But there will probably be variations on this based on business. But getting a handle on the CAC, I think, is very, very important because, I mean, if you do a simple exercise, take your marketing budget, how much are you spending on existing customers? That's basically your MarTech spend. How much are you spending on new customers? That's your acquisition spend. You'll probably find a 10:1 differential. So that is the number which needs to change over time. And I think as you get more revenues, better relations with your existing customers, you will find your CAC also coming down, because you can also use data from your existing customers, the customer genome that we spoke about, to acquire better new customers. The next question was by Shilpa on multi-sided platform. So how do you estimate CAC in a multi-sided platform? This is a hard one, Shilpa. I don't have immediate answers, but I'm assuming that one side is going to be like, if I take Uber, you're basically acquiring drivers on one side and you're acquiring riders on the other side. So there would be a CAC probably for both sides of the platform. So there probably is a CAC for each of the sides that you have in your platform. Maybe that's one way to look at it. Like I said, some of these questions become very, it requires much more much more knowledge of a business to basically answer. Okay, so I'm going to just run through the chat. Samita, is that okay, or you have a better approach?
Yeah, I can go ahead and read out the questions for you that are on the chat, so that'd be easier.
Okay, why don't you pick the questions? You know your audience better than I do. So pick the ones
I'm just going to go back to the first one that I see on chat. Okay, there is a question from Bruhi. She has asked if there is any marketing suggestion for stealth startups who are gearing to launch in the market.
Okay. I actually don't believe in stealth startups, but that's a different point. I'll take 1 minute to answer. I'll take one sentence to answer that. I always believe that the more open you are with your ideas, okay, the more you get back from the world. So it's on my blog, I've written a lot of essays in a section called the Proficon, 100+ ideas, and I call it open sourcing ideas. I've always done that in my life because the idea is probably a few % of the total path for success. You need to execute it well, and no one can think of everything the way you have thought about it. Okay, so having given that pointer, I think the way I would look at it is there are probably, if you're like a B2C company, a simple technique is maybe run some ads with a dummy landing page. So what you want to actually check is what messages are people responding to, and You don't necessarily have to have a product, because you're probably not going to upset more than maybe 100 people, and maybe you give them a voucher or something to take care of whatever you've promoted. But great way, because today you can run a few ads to see what messages are working, etc., without necessarily disclosing the name of your startup or the brand name and so on. We may not have time for going back and forth, so we'll just get on with the questions, because we just have 10 minutes more. Samita, next.
Yes, there's also three attendees who've raised their hand. I'll go ahead and unmute them one by one. Swati, I'll be unmuting you now, so please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, hello, sir. Thank you for the insightful session. So I have a D2C brand, Tiny Explorer, where we make kids products. So currently we have only one product which costs 25,000, and it is also space consuming. So I expect a customer to buy either one or maximum two of it. So how do I get more out of my existing customer? I wanted to understand.
Great. So once a customer buys your product, I think they can be helpful in a couple of ways. One is definitely referrals, so word of mouth, etc. Second is, can you think of services later on which are linked with the product? Okay, so there is an additional revenue stream. So essentially, can you create a subscription component in your product? Like even when you look at Peloton in the US, they have the bike for exercising, but they also sell a subscription component out there. So think of what more you can do. Also, even if you don't have a product to sell immediately, keep the relationship alive. So if it is parents basically whom you're targeting, there could be regular tips on parenting depending on the stage of the age of their kid and so on, the kids and so on. But keep the relationship alive, because in probably a couple of years' time or a year's time, you'll come up with a new product. In which case you want to keep that relationship alive. Don't become like Bollywood, where basically every time they release a new movie, they have to go and get everyone back into the theaters again. They are not building relationships with us. They are not building hotlines with us. Imagine if Yashraj or whichever other Dharma Productions or whatever could say, okay, you're watching this movie, give a missed call to us, or send us or follow us on this handle right now in the theater. Okay, so the acquiring of the same customer again is much more expensive than keeping a relationship alive.
Right. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay, so we also have another attendee, Silvana, who's got her hand up. I will just unmute you so you can go ahead and ask your question. Yeah.
That was a great session, sir. A lot of new ideas. I had one question regarding the interactive emails that you spoke about. You said the benefit of having the interactivity or data captured within the email is that you know the email address of the person responding to, so you will have more richer data that is attributable to customers, right? But can't we do the same, achieve the same thing, wherein the link that you provide within the email captures the email address and then takes it back to the site wherever you want the customer to go? So that way
Absolutely.
they get to explore other things that you have to offer on the website, right? Because if you say book your flight on the website itself, maybe you will miss out on something else that's there on your website, maybe a complimentary hotel booking or a taxi booking or something that's there on the website probably. So the cross-sell opportunities are lost if you get them to do everything on the email, right? So if we can just capture the email address and then take them to the website, maybe I was just thinking maybe that'll be easier and better served customer.
Yeah, it's a great point, Sumana. The one thing which we have seen in the campaigns that we've been doing, and you can obviously test this out, is that of the people who are opening mails, if the friction of the click-through is removed, we are seeing 3 to 10 times greater engagement inside of the same mail. Okay, because think about it. I mean, you'll have to do there's a trade-off, obviously. So you'll not want to do it for every product where you got adjacent products to sell. You'll probably want to take them to the website. But
Right.
for some products, maybe or some information which you want to capture, doesn't have to just be a product sale. There's information you want to capture. There's feedback that you want to capture. Simple thing. Every airline sends us, many airlines basically will send you, how was the journey, rate us. Amazon sends out an email after a product purchase, the NPS rating email which comes.
Right.
Now, how many of us actually fill it? Because we know that when we click, it'll take us to a different page.
Hmm.
But if like I've given the example, if the filling in that thing was right there inside the mail, okay, I can bet you we'll have 5 to 10 times more people giving that feedback.
Mhm.
Look at it from, again, the good thing is every action can be measured. See what works better for you. For the first time, it's one of the biggest innovations in email, where you can make emails two-way. They can be conversational. You can do search, chat, shopping cart, payments, all of it inside emails. Now, how can that help your business? Think of it that way.
Sure. Might work with certain segment of customers, right? People who are like not tech savvy and they're scared of going onto a website, creating a login there, and maybe.
Yeah, so Sumana, we'll just sorry to interrupt. We'll just take someone else's question.
Sure.
Thanks. Yeah, Samita, next.
Yes, there's another question on the chat. They said, as an early stage startup, how do they prioritize acquisition versus retention, and how early should they start focusing on retention?
Yeah. Okay, as a new startup, obviously you have to look at acquisition. There are no two ways about it. You've got to look at how you can acquire new customers. But retention should start with the first customer that you acquire. Okay. I think it's very, very important to build the retention mindset right in the beginning, because the activities that you have to do for retention are very different from acquisition. In most organizations, most marketing departments, what I've seen is that because the budget is very low for existing customer engagement, retention, and growth and cross-sell, no one wants to really do much in that department. But retention is very critical, because that's how it may not be as exciting as running ads on Google and other platforms, but that is the only way you're going to build a profitable business. If you had infinite money, go ahead and do the land grab. But if you don't, make sure that your existing customers can basically help you get referrals, get more data about your customers. How did they find out about you? Can you do, who are the early customers buying? What binds them? What links them together? What's the data that you can get? And how do you get more of them? Referrals is zero cost, zero CAC. Think of how you can drive referrals. We don't do much referrals in India at all. I mean, how many brands are asking us to recommend new customers in return for maybe a small incentive? That's where the idea of atomic rewards comes in. I know I saw a question, atomic rewards meaning. Atomic rewards is like Atomic Habits, the best-selling book. Atomic means small. So it's micro rewards, small incentives. So start retention with your first customer. Yes, Amita.
We have 2 more people who've raised their hand to ask a question. I'll unmute them. Just a second. Vidya, I'm unmuting you now. Yeah, please go ahead. Vidya, do you have a question? Would you like to be unmuted so that you can ask your question? Okay. Vidya, if you want to ask a question, just let us know over chat. I can unmute you when it is convenient. In the meantime, I'm unmuting the next person. Yeah, please go ahead. Ask your question. You are unmuted now.
Hello.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
See, I'm Prabhu. I would ask, sir, that how do you market food brands and online deliveries?
It's, I think, a very, very wide question. I am not. I think a lot of the principles which I've talked about are generic. I think it's very hard to get into a very specific one. I'll pass on that. Sorry about that.
If everyone could keep their questions a little bit more specific so that there is a more pointed answer and a more targeted answer, that would be helpful. Right. Okay. So I'll just go back to the questions on chat. We have, I think, time for one more question. Okay, Aishwarya has asked on the chat, how do they connect or strengthen with their repeat customer base on marketplace where they don't have any data or the customer's data?
That's a very good question, because a lot of brands do sell through marketplaces today. So again, I think it varies on the rules of different marketplaces, but there should be a way by which you can offer, maybe if it's if there's warranty on a product, or if you can have a card inside the product that you're sending, which tells a customer, go to this URL or send us a WhatsApp or whatever it is, fill this thing out, scan this QR code, tell us more, and we will send you a discount voucher for a next purchase or something. See, the idea becomes that at every stage, the goal should be, how do I build a relationship with the customer? Now, through the marketplace, a lot of it will also depend on the rules that the marketplace has. So you want to make sure you don't violate the rules, because the value of the marketplace is that they want to own the relationship. But if, for example, you're selling electronics products, you can always offer a warranty, an extended warranty, in return for people giving you some information about themselves, basically email ID, mobile number, what product they purchased, etc., which can then let you build that hotline to them in the future.
Okay. Are you okay to take one more question?
Sure.
Yeah, all right. So Aishwarya, I'm going to unmute you now.
Yeah. Hi, sir.
Hi.
Yeah, so like I asked this question, the last one. It's only the problem, like people like us, like who are working with marketplaces like Myntra and all. So there is a violation, yes, violation of policy. We put up some, greetings or inside like some URLs. So like presently, like our 50% of the repeat customers, I have that tool to analyze and see like who is buying. So our repeat customer is about 50 to 60%, but the only problem is how to connect them. Like we don't get the email IDs. On Amazon and Flipkart, we get whole database and we can put the cards. That is allowed. There is no problem at all. But like in portals like Myntra and all, we can't do that. So that is the problem.
Okay, so Aishwarya, I'll give a short answer. Essentially, that even if you're selling through marketplaces, try and build your own portal. It's very easy today to do it. I mean, you probably already have it on Shopify or other such platforms. My belief is, over time, have a dual strategy where you sell through marketplaces and also try and sell direct. Today, logistics, etc., there are very easy ways by which you can handle those. WhatsApp is also emerging as a great way to sell. So for conversational commerce, what is it being called with chatbots, etc. So you have to just try out different ideas, but make sure, like I said, don't violate marketplace rules. Wherever possible, you have to work on trying to build your own direct hotlines. So maybe trying your own D2C platform, D2C store through Shopify, etc., is a possible idea for you.
We'll take one last question and then let's move to the conclusion. Akshay has said on chat he has the question, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute you.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Jain. This is Akshay. We have an ice cream brand, premium ice cream brand developed in Pune. And ours is basically a D2C brand. We have our own website and we sell it through. As you said in your presentation, that email marketing is a way forward. That and it's just true. Like we have been analyzing some data, and via email, our conversion rate is around 7.2 to 8%. And where Facebook and Instagram marketing gives us, conversion data rate of like 0.4%, 0.5% max. But then again, a question comes where email marketing is more of a retention strategy. It's not acquisition strategy, I suppose. And Facebook and Instagram gets us new customers. Everybody says, you have to, give a direct, you have to direct your strategy towards a specific clientele via Facebook and Instagram. But still the data says it is quite expensive. Email is more direct more appealing,
Akshay, if we can
and it
shorten,
works. Yeah.
If we can just shorten just ask the question. I got the point.
Yeah, that was my question,
Okay. So I'm not advocating that acquisition budgets will go to zero at all.
Okay.
My point is that acquisition today is very skewed. It's 90:10. Create a balance between acquisition and retention and growth and cross.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even in acquisition, I've given, in fact, many ideas in my writings where you can use the data of your best customers, not all customers. Use the data of your best customers to even target acquisition, which becomes much more effective.
Absolutely.
So you get customers who are more likely to give you higher revenue. Use that so that your best customers get you more like them. Again, that reduces your cost of acquisition.
Correct. There were some beautiful pointers which we got from your presentation, and we will be using those. Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that is all the time we have for questions. Thank you everyone for dialing in. If you have any more questions, you can always reach out to Mr. Rajesh Jain. He's given you his email. If you have questions about NSR cell or the program or the recording, do reach out to us. I've put my email ID in the chat. The recording, however, will be uploaded on YouTube in a few days' time on our NSR cell channel. So you should find it there. And yeah, on a concluding note, I would just like to thank you, Mr. Rajesh Jain. It was a really insightful session. There's already a lot of comments, a lot of compliments, in fact, on the chat about how good the session was and how insightful it was for them. So thank you very much. This was one of our most highly attended sessions as well.
Thank you very much, Samita, and thank you everyone for spending an hour. Thank you. All the best for your businesses. Thanks.
Thank you all. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.